And we are live now today with Bob Biggerstaff. If you could go ahead and please, by all means, introduce yourself.
I'm Bob Biggerstaff, comedian, living here in Houston, Texas. That's about it
Okay, yeah.
from me.
But where can we find you, though? Give us some social medias.
Oh, you can find me Instagram, Bob_Biggerstaff. Just like it sounds, Biggerstaff. I have a website, comicbob.com. Unfortunately, I switched website providers, and I have to wait like a week for it to let me have my website back. So comicbob.com isn't working right now, but just go to my
that sucks.
just go to my Instagram. People are always looking at the social media stuff anyway.
What do you have on your website? Is it just a picture of you and a short little bio?
No, I had like place to sell T-shirts and some videos and stuff, but I mean it wasn't really great. It's just a basic website. Like I said, a lot of people, it's all social media stuff nowadays. So even if my website's down for a week or two, that's all right.
Okay, well, let's jump.
Twitter.
Oh, yeah, tell us the Twitter then.
Bob_Biggerstaff.
Nice.
Yeah, that's about it.
All right, so my first question is, what do you think it takes to be entertaining, and what do you think is the difference between a person who's an entertainer and a person who is interesting?
What was the first question?
What do you think it takes to be like an entertainer?
What do I think it takes to be an entertainer? Well, I mean,
what's the difference between someone who's an entertainer professionally and someone who's just interesting?
to be an entertainer, I mean, I know you're not supposed to use the word.
Or comedian or whatever.
You're not supposed to use the word that you're trying to explain in the definition, but yeah, to be an entertainer, you have to be entertaining. Or when I think it just takes the mindset of somebody that, you have to want to entertain people. Although a lot of people might appear that they don't want to do it, because I know plenty of comedians that seem to be kind of miserable, but they're entertaining. So I would think you would have to want to do it, which is so crazy when you think about little kids that go into entertainment. Obviously, it's because their parents are pushing them into it when you're talking like little kids, and whether they want to do it or not, but they still, you have to kind of want to be there. You have to kind of want to be there to entertain people.
Is that the
you have to be creative. I think you obviously have to have some creativity. Hopefully that's original. You want originality, and I think it's about the want of, you have to want to do it, because I don't think you can get. I don't think you could do your best if you just weren't into it. A lot of people do jobs that they're just like, it's just 9 to 5. They go and do it. They hate it. But they, whatever, that's their livelihood. They need the job. But, I think in if you're trying to be entertaining, I mean, relating it to, because I know all I know is about comedy, being a stand-up comedian, if you don't want to do it, that can come across in your performances. So you have to.
Has it been your only job, or is it currently your only job?
It's been my only job for like almost about 20 years. I mean, I do some other things on the side every once in a while, but for about 20 years, my job's been just doing stand-up comedy. I had plenty of never had like a real career job. I went to college at University of Houston, but I didn't graduate. And then I was just working like a warehouse job, and then I got a job at a storage place, renting self-storage.
Were you entertaining at those jobs?
Oh yeah, I've always been entertaining. I mean,
So what's the difference between an entertainer and someone who's interesting?
Well, I mean, you could be entertaining and not be in. Somebody might not find you interesting. Uh, I think those are definitely two different things. Being, I guess, if you're entertaining and interesting, that would be more what you would want. What I would want as a comedian. I mean, plenty of people can be interesting because just of what where their lives have taken them or what they've done in their life, but they might not necessarily be entertaining, but they could be interesting. Entertaining to me is like, because the word entertainment, funny, being funny is part of entertaining to me. Interesting doesn't have to be funny. Interesting can just be different facts or whatever about your life or about the person. But to be entertaining, you have to, in both instances, you have to hold somebody's attention for someone to think you're interesting.
How do you hold people's attention?
Hopefully by being funny.
Okay, but what kind of funny do you think gets
that's what I try to do. What kind of funny?
Yeah, how are you holding people's attention span?
Well, are we talking like off stage? Are we talking
Well, I think my audience
on a
probably wants
podcast?
to
Are we
know.
talking on stage?
You're either going to be interesting or not on a podcast, but on stage,
Yeah.
you know.
You hold their I'm entertaining on stage by having good jokes and making sure the crowd is having hoping they're having a good time. And how do I tell if they're having a good time if I can hear the laughter?
Yeah, after 20 years, it's no longer hope, correct?
Yeah. I mean, you have everybody still has shows where you're like, that wasn't as good. A lot of the longer sets, the longer headlining sets, you're doing tried and true material. When I still do open mics because that's where we practice, to relate it to any sport. Going to an open mic is like a baseball player going to the batting cage, when them hitting before the game when they're doing batting practice. Football players have basketball players, they have their practices and any other training that they're doing when they're not playing an actual game. So going to an open mic whenever I have the opportunity. In an open mic, you try new jokes, and a comedian would be lying to you if you said they every joke they ever do works. I mean, it might eventually work, but you start out at an open mic and you try the jokes, and some you have to do them a few times because some of them work right away, but some of them don't. So yeah, there's still times. And every once in a while at a regular show, you do a joke that usually works, and it doesn't work one time, and you're like, it happens. Nobody.
After 20 years, do you know the joke is going to work after 5 open mics, or are you still trying to figure out what makes a joke funny?
I usually try a joke, and like a lot of guys don't go to necessarily open mics. I mean, if you're working all the time and you're on the road all the time and you're doing shows all the time that you're getting paid for, some guys don't have time to go to open mics. I have the time, whether that's good or bad, every once in a while to be able to go to these open mics.
Where do you frequent for when you do the open mic?
In Houston.
Which spot?
Go to the Riot, the new Riot on Washington. I go to Rudyard's. There's a new. The Riot was in Rudyard's. They moved to their own location on Washington, about 10 minutes away, and now above Rudyard's is called the Club at Rudd's.
Mm-hmm.
And they have a Monday open mic that's been going, longest running open mic in Houston. That's really good. Like I said, the Riot. And there's various other bars and stuff. There's actually, if anybody's interested, there's a Facebook page. If you search like Houston comedy open mics, there's
comedy stage time.
Yeah, there you go, comedy stage, and it'll show you all the open mics that are in the city. Secret Group has a bunch too.
Yeah, I was just Kind of curious, which ones do you like to hit?
The two I usually hit are uh, the club at Rudd's and the Riot. Those are the two best. Those are the two best ones right now. There's a few at, and actually the Riot has, I think they have two. They have at least two. I think Monday and Tuesday nights they have one. Right after they have a show, like a showcase show before, and then they start the open mic at 9. I think on both Mondays and Tuesdays. Secret Group has a bunch, but yeah, those are the two I go to
That's cool.
for the most part.
How do you go from, frequenting just open mics to getting that guest spot? How did it work for you 20 years ago? Do you even recall back
Well,
then?
I was working at a comedy club,
Oh, okay.
the old Laugh Stop Comedy Club in Houston. Actually, like, believe it or not,
Oh, you
like,
were working at the Laugh Stop?
believe it or not, almost 30 years ago, 97, I got a job as a door guy. I'd done like 2 open mics. I did one my freshman semester in college. I did a show. A comedian was playing the college, and he did an interesting thing. He came in a day early and taught a comedy class, and I saw a flyer and it said, "Hey, you want to be a stand-up comedian?" So I go to this thing, and it's like me and five other guys.
Are any of them still doing it?
No. One guy, the only guy I know of, this guy named Jerome Ronquillo. I think that's how you say his last name. He goes by the name Yoj. He was on like 104 KRB. He was a big DJ on 104 KRB for a long time. He's still around, and he's actually doing a comedy show. He has cancer, and he's doing a fundraising show. So look up Jerome Ronquillo. I don't think he's done stand up in a while, but it's just funny that him and I did this same class. And then what happened was the comedian who was doing a show the next day, and when we get done with this class where we just like told him some jokes and stuff, and he helped us work on them. And he goes, "All right, we'll see you tomorrow." And we were like, "For what?" And he goes, "Oh, all you guys are going to open for me." So
You had 5 guys open for him?
yeah, he was an old pro. His name was Steve Sheffer, and he was the host and MC. He would bring each of us up to do like 5 minutes, and then and then when we were done, he did like another 45 minutes.
Oh, so it was an open mic / feature.
It was, yeah. I mean,
Well,
technically you could say
headliner.
it wasn't an open mic because he booked us, but none of us had like ever done.
That's-
I had never done stand up comedy before.
I have never heard of a headliner teaching a class and then having whoever showed
No,
up.
it was, well, here's the thing. It was smart at a college, because at a college books you, and it's just you,
Okay.
and you don't know where the show's going to be or anything. You might not find out that, hey, and I'm not joking, here's a microphone in the hallway of this building on campus. Do your show right here. And you're like, what are you talking about? People are walking by. Or it's like, here, you're doing this show at the University Center, in the cafeteria, and you're just gonna go up. Like, people are eating. They're not gonna stop, and like they can be a horrible setup. So, because I did a show at a college once, and they wanted me to do it in the University Center, and I'm like, so people are just gonna be walking in and out. It's not even. I'm just like in a corner. They're not even sitting in like seats facing. They're just sitting in tables and chairs that are just in the area. And I got them to move it into an auditorium, which was a much better setup because we had a controlled audience. Everybody that was in there was there to see the comedy show. Now they also gave away like a free part of the deal was see the show, you get a free bag lunch. It was, it was
Nice.
college kids. Well, I mean, I was on stage. I was eating one of the lunches while I was on stage.
Did it come with tater tots?
No, it did not come with tater tots. It was just like a sandwich and a bag of chips and a Capri Sun or something. But like I said, it was smart of this guy he made it a longer show, and also he knew we were going to get our friends to come to the show. Like, I was in a fraternity, so I got like 20 of my fraternity brothers to come to the show. But yeah, I mean, doing a college is way different. But to continue to answer your original question, that's how I got started. I after I did I did that, A few years later, I did an open mic at another club in town, and then in like '97, I got a job as a door guy at the Laugh Stop in Houston, and worked there. There wasn't an open mic because I got the job in the fall, and during football season, they would cancel the open mic because it was on Monday nights. Nobody would show up because of Monday Night Football. And this guy that took over the club, this guy named Mark Babbitt, he said, "Hey, if as long as you comedians show up to do this," he's like, "even if there's no crowd, we'll still do the open mic." So after about 6 months working there, I started doing and I was in charge of it, which was good and bad. It was good in that I got plenty of stage time because I would host it, but it was bad because it would literally go from like 8 o'clock to sometimes almost 2 in the morning.
Ouch.
And I was like, yeah, and I was already working there, like 4 other days, and I'm like, man, I'm not even technically working. You're letting me host this, and but then we would split the hosting duties, and then I just worked there and met comedians, and somebody gave me a gig in Beaumont to host a show. That was the first paying gig I ever did. And then working at the Laugh Stop eventually after like a couple years, I think I did a guest spot, and I think Nigel, the guy just let me host. He was like, I had asked him and he said I wasn't ready. And then after a couple years, he was like, yeah, he's like, you can host the show. And it's a little different now because of the internet. People can get into, you could be on Instagram and just do something stupid that's not even stand up. And next thing you know, this person's got 500,000 followers and they're doing a night at the comedy club. And you're like, well, what are they going to do? Their whole thing on the internet is not even doing stand up. You know what I mean?
Well, they're more entertaining than comedy. They'd be
Sure.
entertainers over comedians.
Yeah.
It would be the same platform, but it wouldn't be a comedy show.
Yeah, I mean, they end up doing something that's supposed to be funny, but it's just, and it's all about, like, they don't do like the free ticket model anymore at any of the comedy clubs where they would email you or call you and say, hey, you won 10 free tickets. That used to be a big thing. Now it's like, like I said, the internet, social media, there's so many more people that people know about that, like, I'll see somebody at a comedy club and I'm like, who the hell's that? And then I look up their Instagram and I'm like, I have no idea who this person is. And then, they're coming in one night and selling 200 tickets, and that's what it's all about. That's what we all want. I mean, I'm not good at social media or any of that stuff. It's all about, but that one clip that gets seen by the right, if I had like, it could be just as little as some real famous comedian. And I know a lot of big time comedians, if they retweeted something I said, or a video or something, it could go viral. And that's,
Have you made appeals to them ever
sometimes all you
before?
need. No, I got a lot of friends that, I mean, I don't think it's necessarily that simple, but when somebody,
Because those other guys they're Instagram entertainers, right? I mean, they can book some seats into some shows and do something that's like a comedy show. But in the end, they're leveraging...
Or they're called influencers, I guess.
Yeah. The influencer is just a social media entertainer, right?
Yeah, I
So
guess
they're
so.
leveraging that social media influence to, book some shows. And the show might not necessarily be a stand-up comedy set, but it will be something that they're trying to provide value.
Yeah, I mean, I'm
some
saying
sort of entertainment.
if they're specifically booking it at a comedy club or a comedy venue, then I look at it as, they're trying to be... Obviously, they're trying to be funny, because if it's at a comedy club, I mean, there's certainly been things at comedy clubs where somebody rents it out and has a seminar or something. But like, when you have like, I always use the example of like Steve-O or the wrestler guy, Mick Foley.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Steve-O thinks he's a stand-up comedian. He's not a stand-up comedian. It's like the only reason anybody's going to see you is because you're Steve-O from Jackass. So he It's like, just tell stories about, like, the Mick Foley guy, the wrestler. I went to see him. I'm not I mean, I knew who he was, but I was just like, oh, I want to see what this is. And he just tells, stories about being a wrestler. And they're funny, and the people there, they're having a good time. They're not people that are necessarily going to come back and see a regular stand-up show, but seeing somebody like that who he knows how to tell, he knows why the people are there. He tells the stories, and it's funny. It's not stand-up comedy, but it's funny, and it's a entertaining and interesting show. Then you go see somebody like Steve-O, and it's like, all right, well, just stick a firecracker up your butt. That's why you're here. And he always does something like, I don't know if he does anymore, but he used to always do some jackass stunt like at the end of his show. But he's not a stand-up comedian, and that's the kind of things that always kind of bugs me when somebody like that, if they can do the job, then I'm fine with it, But if you're just doing, you think you can do stand-up comedy just because you're famous for doing something else. If you can do the job, whether I think you're funny or not, if the crowd's laughing and you're being original, then I'll be like, no. I mean, he wins. He knows what he's doing. But if you're not, if you can't do the job, but it's all about, if you're famous, there aren't a lot of things that you can do. Like, what's an actor supposed to do? You'll see actors like doing stand-up comedy. Guys that aren't stand-up comics, but we'll assume they're on a comedy show, but they're not stand-up comics. Well, why are they, what else could they do for extra money? It's not like they can say, I'm going to go act in this show tonight to make some extra bucks. No, you can't just just go act on another show, but you can say, oh, I'm going to go do, I'm going to try to write an act and go on the road and do stand-up because I'm on this comedy show, even though I'm not a stand-up comedian.
Or pay someone to, right? An act
Oh, yeah.
and perform.
No, I mean, yeah. And I have no problem with somebody.
Have you done any ghostwriting before?
I mean, comedians, when you hang out with other comedians and you do shows with guys, like I've done a lot of shows with Dave Attell. You know who he is?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm not gonna say I've written jokes for him, but he's run stuff. He's run stuff by me, just like I've run stuff by him. I don't know if anything I've ever said, he ever used or anything, but when you work with guys, a lot of times when you see a comedian and they have like the same opener all the time, that guy is usually they're helping each other write jokes. It's just a natural. So there's no, and you'd be surprised. Like a lot of comedians are like, oh, or not comedians, but regular people, non-comedians think when you tell them, no, that guy's got a writer, and they're like, what are you talking about? It's like, no, if you write, somebody writes you jokes, you pay them for them. They're your jokes now. There's nothing. I just think it's difficult sometimes to find, because everybody has their own style. So you have to, if you're going to write jokes for somebody, especially somebody famous, you have to be able to write them in their style. So, and somebody that is hanging out with somebody for a long time is going to ideally be, better suited for that because they know that person's style. So.
How long did it take you to develop your own style? Was it something that you got the first couple of years, or did it take 15 years?
It's certainly, I think it takes, everybody's, anything I could say, everybody's different.
Yeah, but how was it for you?
I think if you look at, it takes a couple years, but also it's, the time frame isn't necessarily traditional time. It's the amount of times you go on stage. For someone is going to get their style, figure out their style. Someone who is going on stage 5 times a week is going to figure out their style ideally faster than somebody who's going on stage 1 time a week. It could be, but everybody's different, so you never know. For me, I would say took a couple years, but that's not even necessarily saying that you've figured stuff out. It's just you figure out what type of jokes that you want to do. I mean, I do PG shows, I do R-rated shows. I mean, if you come see me at a comedy club, September 11th and 12th at the Pink Flamingo in Houston,
Very nice.
I tell dirty jokes. I swear, it's an R-rated show. But we're adults. I mean, the show's at a comedy club where you got to be at least 18, probably even 21 to get in. So, and I don't have any. I do clean shows too because I work on the cruise ships. But I prefer to not do the clean shows, and I'm not saying anything. It always irks me when somebody says it's easier to be clean or it's easier to be dirty than it is to be a clean comic. And there's no easy about either way. It's hard to write good jokes. Whether they're clean or dirty, it's hard to write good jokes.
Well, that leads right into my next question. Do you think that repetition of the craft is the most important thing that can be done for a stand-up?
Repetition as far as going on stage.
Well, not necessarily repetition of the same joke, but repetition of practice.
Yeah, definitely. It's all about the two most important things in stand-up comedy, or at least in my mind, are stage time and writing. You have to, try, and it's hard. It's hard writing. Like I said, it's hard writing jokes. If your punchline is just, I mean, we can swear on this, right?
Yeah, that's YouTube. If
your punchline is fuck, well, I'm going to guess that's not whatever you said before, that's not a good joke if that's your punchline. Just like if you're telling a clean joke and your punchline is, oh my gosh. I mean, the joke's probably nothing if that's what you're relying on. So, I mean, it's hard to write jokes. And sometimes you get in a groove. Everybody's got their own writing style as far as, some guys are like, oh, I sit down at my computer. I sit down with a notepad every day from noon to 1 and I write and write. There's all different. No way's perfect. This is the art form of stand-up comedy. There's no set ways to do things. Everybody does it different. You could talk to 20 comedians and they could have 20 different writing processes.
But you think you have to write. You can't just try to hit an open mic and say whatever comes to your head. You think the writing is important.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes, you go on stage at an open mic with just an idea. Every time I've ever actually tried to write out a joke and say, oh, I should say it like this, it never works. Because I always end up saying other words. Like, you memorize what you're going to say. And that if I've written it out beforehand, my process, again, whether it's good or bad, works for me. I go on stage with an idea. I have kind of an idea what I'm going to say, but it's not 100% in stone. And then I record it. Everybody records their sets with their phones, because it's so easy. You get to get the audio. And then I'll listen back to it and I can say, oh, okay, this part's good, but, take that out. So, you tweak it. And there's guys that, speaking of Dave Attell, he's the master at, you'll see him at one show tell a joke and say the punchline is, this is just an example, it's not an actual punch. Say the punchline is, and then the dog ate it. And then he'll come back the next show, do the same joke, and he'll go, and then the cat ate it. Do it a third time you see him, and then the giraffe ate it. Like, each one gets a huge laugh, and you're just like, why did he change it from the first time when the first time it killed? Because sometimes he's one of these guys that he's very, I don't know if anal's the right word, but I mean, Dave Attell is a stand-up comedy savant. I think he's the greatest stand-up comedian working today. And I'm not just saying that because he's my friend. His special that was on Netflix, it's not on there anymore, but it's called Hot Cross Buns. I think was top 5 stand-up specials of all time. You go to New York City, go to the Comedy Cellar, look at the schedule, go to a show that Dave Attell's on. He usually goes up last. He's just the best, and you'll see that's when you see guys working on jokes. That's his open mic, if you will, and yet he's killing with everything. So I mean, your question of repetition and writing.
You think he's more of a natural talent that he's always been funny, or did he have to have that 20-year, comedy career too to figure it out?
No. I bet he's always been funny, but I mean, you ask him, and when you watch his, Evening at the Improv from like 1989, you're like, wow, you can see how much he's changed. Not in, physically, and he had hair and now he doesn't, but and he sounds different because he's newer, but he'd be the wrong person to ask just because he's very. He would tell you he was terrible. I mean, he does shows now and he's like, oh, that's horrible. And I'm like, yeah, it must be horrible having 400 people love everything you do. But he's, he always wants to do better. And when somebody like that, you're like, you're already doing great. How can you? But that's the difference between a lot of people. He's got that. Even though he's already doing great, he wants to do better.
Do you feel the same? Do you want to do better?
That show could have done better. Yeah, I mean, it's the times when you have like just a great set, and it's one thing to have a great set that's like 5 to 7 minutes long. Like I just got passed at the Comedy Mothership in Austin, Joe Rogan's club, which means I'm a regular and I can be on the shows and get paid at Rogan's club in the big room and the small room. And I guess it's kind of a big deal. And when I auditioned, like I did like the open mic, and that like 200 people sign up for. And when I finally got picked, do 3 minutes, and I did great. And then the booker said, come back next week, and I did 5 minutes there. Did great there. So those were 2 great sets, but one was 3 minutes, one was 5 minutes. Now 5 minutes is like comparable to, doing a late night TV show set, like on Letterman or Tonight Show, Jimmy Fallon, whatever. And so but that's a lot easier than doing a 45-minute headlining set where you're doing great. And I still do, I do that, but ideally the greatest comedy set, whether it's 5 minutes, 45 minutes, or an hour, would be where the laughs, whatever level this is, the laughs start here and it just keeps going straight up. But that's impossible. You can't have a show where each laugh is just better than the last. It would be impossible. So, a show goes like this. You hope it starts out at a high level. It might dip down a little bit, go up, dip down. And then at the end, you want to have obviously a big joke to close on. So it's harder to, but somebody like Dave, your big names. But even so, even guys like that, they have off nights, or whether it's them or not, even the crowd, sometimes the crowd's just not into it as much as the crowd was at the earlier show or the night before.
You don't think it has anything to do with the confidence between shows? Like maybe your blood sugar dipped a little bit.
There's a million factors that come into it. The comedian could be a little, maybe they have a great show and now they think they can do exactly the same thing, and we have to adjust on stage because sometimes whatever. I mean, maybe like the first show is just all guys sitting in the front row, and the second show it's like all women. Well, that could, that can affect, not that everybody's not laughing, but that can affect how the show goes. If you're like talking to somebody, let's say. So there's a million factors, whether it be audience or the crowd. Sometimes you can control them, sometimes you can't. Sometimes sometimes it just doesn't. You have an off night. Some comics will say, "Oh, you can't blame the crowd. They're here to have fun." Well, no. Sometimes there's shitty crowds. Whether they, when you're famous, when you're like, I do a show 9 times out of 10, if I'm headlining, if I'm not headlining, nobody knows I'm on the show. Now, when I get on stage, there might be people that know who I am, but it's probably very few. If I'm headlining a show, like I go to St. Louis a lot and work the St. Louis Funny Bone. If I'm headlining a show, yes, there are people there that know me, but the majority of the people don't. They're just there to see a show. And hopefully I can make them like me and they're a fan and they'll come see me the next time. But sometimes, but when you're famous, let's assume that whenever Dave Attell plays someplace, pretty much everybody of every couple, at least one of those people knows who he is. Maybe if a guy brings his girlfriend, she might not know who he is. Or whatever, a girl's a fan and she brings her boyfriend and her boyfriend doesn't know who he is. But we will assume that the majority, and when I say majority, I don't mean 51%. I mean like at least 80% of the people know who Dave Attell is. When somebody goes to see Louis C.K., and I'm lowballing that number.
Yeah, they're all there for that name. They're not there because
there's
it's a
obviously
comedy
people
show.
there that don't know because they've come with somebody else. There has to be.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm lowballing it by saying
The
80.
film guy who's recording, he might not know, but whatever.
Yeah. Well, there's somebody in the audience that has never, that has probably never seen. Like I said, somebody brings their girlfriend. But also a big famous person that the show's going to sell out. That's not a last minute. You're also not. Let's go to the comedy club tonight.
Yeah.
Who's playing? Well, you could say that, and then you're going to show up, and it's going to be sold out. If I'm at a comedy club, there's plenty of people. I just did a show at the Secret Group on Thursday. Not a lot of people, and two of the guys that were there, they were going to an Astros game, but the guy had bought the guy's tickets were for. I think our show was the 20th, and it was on the August 20th, and he had bought tickets for an Astros game on September 20th.
Oh.
So they walked up to the stadium, found out their tickets, and then they were like, "Oh, let's go to Secret Group and see comedy." So, and these guys had fun, and I think they're fans now. But there were two guys that. So I mean, it's a lot different when I'm performing someplace as opposed to somebody that's hugely famous.
Do you think you retain your fans once they see you in a show like that?
I think I made fans at that show.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking.
Yeah. I think so. I told them about my show coming up at the Pink Flamingo on September 11th and 12th. And they seemed interested. So, I should say, if anybody, listens in Houston and they want to come to my show at the Pink Flamingo, it's downtown at like the corner of Main and Prairie. Beautiful new room.
And what day was that again?
September. I'll say wrong thing, but a date that will live in infamy. 9/11. Never forget that on 9/11, 2026, I have a show.
Pink Flamingo.
Yeah, 9/11 and 12. But you can buy tickets online and use the easy promo code BOB, B-O-B, and you can get 2-for-1 tickets. And if you're a loser and you're just one person, that'll give you 50% off a ticket.
Is Bob short for Robert?
It is, of course.
Yeah.
So, yeah, use the promo code BOB and you can get 2-for-1 tickets.
You think Bob is funnier name than Robert?
The weird thing about I went by Robert. My friends I grew up in upstate New York till like 10th grade, and all my friends up there call me Rob. And when I moved to Texas, my friends in high school here, and even for about 3 years, from like junior year in high school to like my first year in college. They called me Robert. And then I was working this warehouse job, and this old guy kept calling me Bob. And for some reason, then I started calling myself Bob. And in like 1991, I started going by Bob. And I
Who
never
got more girlfriends, Rob, Bob,
Yeah.
or Robert?
I've got what?
Who got the more girlfriends when you were going Rob,
Shit.
Bob, or Robert?
Bob. I don't have any. Yeah, Bob definitely. But yeah, well, I mean, I have my classic opening line in my, that I do a lot of my stand up is, and of course it works if people really don't know me. I say, hey, my name is Bob Biggerstaff. That is my real name, Bob Biggerstaff. Well, it's Robert Biggerstaff, obviously. If any of you people here speak Spanish, it's pronounced Roberto Grande Cock.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So that's a nice little. I do have T-shirts that say that have a big chicken on it, and his name is Roberto.
Oh, okay.
And then I have another one that's like I say it's like an old English chicken. That was a cartoon chicken. The other one is like a real chicken holding a microphone, and it says Roberto under it. I have two designs we're working on.
Yeah. You're also a survivor of cancer. So I saw the T-shirts you were selling at the Improv.
I do,
Looked
yes.
Like a little anus flag.
Oh, did you buy one? Were you at the show?
I was at the show, but I didn't buy one.
Oh, okay.
I spent enough money that night.
Sure. Oh, I bet. Yeah. I have another shirt. I had, for lack of a better term, ass cancer. I had colorectal cancer. For those of you that don't know me, I talk about it. I mean, I certainly wish I didn't. I had never had it, but BUTT. But I got a lot of material out of it.
That's something.
I got a lot of. Yeah.
Are you good now?
Yeah. I'm doing fine. I guess. I don't know.
Always going to be checkups.
I don't
for
know
you,
exactly when they use the word remission, but it's been over 2 years. I mean, my next appointment isn't until February. Like every 6 months, I'll have a MRI or a CT scan, and yeah, everything's good. It was very. I don't know how big. I had a tumor in my butt, and I tell everybody, if you're 40 or over, or you're having any problems going number 2, get your butts checked.
So being constipated is a good sign
Guys
of
and
butt
girls.
cancer?
Well, I wasn't constipated. I was, let's
More
just,
volume than...
I was pooping red.
Oh, I see.
And it's kind of a funny story because I work on the cruise ships, and I was eating, I used to eat these salads that had beets in them. Well, you know what happens when you eat beets?
Yeah.
Everything is red in the toilet. So I had eaten a salad. And I had forgotten I ate beets, and I happened to look in the toilet, and I was like, oh my God. And then I was like, oh, wait a minute, I ate beets. Well, 3 weeks later when I'm at home and the same thing happens, and I'm like, oh, I haven't eaten beets in a long time. And I was almost 51, so I knew I needed to get a colonoscopy. I gotta tell you, having insurance is great.
Is it hard to have insurance as a comedian? Do you have it through your
Not
wife?
with a wife.
That's about... Yeah. That's what's going to be my next question. Is it because of a loved
It's not
one?
impossible, but it would certainly cost me more money. Yeah, my wife is a nurse at Texas Children's Hospital. Yeah. So, and living in Houston, I mean, geez, MD Anderson, arguably the -- cancer hospital in the world. I tell people all the time. I say, do you know who Ronnie James Dio was?
Yeah.
The heavy metal singer. When he got cancer, he came to Houston and went to MD Anderson. He died soon after he got here, but he still came as a famous person. Yeah, I mean, it's living in Houston. I'm very, very lucky. Like, I had gotten my colonoscopy at another hospital, and then as soon as they said we saw a tumor, we immediately went to MD Anderson, and it's I've talked about it before, but I feel very lucky. I never really got sick. I did chemotherapy for like I did radiation for 5 days, and then like chemotherapy for 2 months, 4 months, twice a month, and
How did that make you feel? Were you able to
it
still
just made
do
me
comedy?
tired. I mean, I couldn't go on. I couldn't do my job on the cruise ship, so I mean, I had to stay home. I would go out every once in a while, but it just the chemotherapy just made me tired. It was really weird. My wife always got mad at me because I always said I never had any side effects. We'd be in the doctor's office and they'd be like, "You have any side effects?" And I'm like, "No, not really." And she's like, "Oh, you get." She's like, "Yeah, you get tired all the time." And I'm like, "Well, I mean, I thought they meant like negative." I'm like, "That's not a negative to me," but that was a side effect. I did get. I got sick once. Like they gave me like anti. What do you call them? Drugs so you don't get sick. But I never took them. I did take one time. But I got sick once. I tell the story in my act. I mean, I might as well tell you here. This is a 100% true story. So you're doing radiation chemotherapy. They tell you like, don't eat this, don't eat that, don't drink this, don't drink that. One of the things you weren't supposed to eat was anything spicy or red. Obviously, don't even drink like red Kool-Aid or Gatorade because they don't want anything red coming out of you because it could be confused with blood in your poop. Well, the third day of radiation, I made chili when I got home. I was feeling fine. I wasn't feeling bad at all. Felt great. They told me not to make anything spicy. I made chili. It wasn't spicy. I ate it. It was delicious. I go to sleep. I wake up about 3 a.m. I'm like, oh my God, I shouldn't have had that chili. Go in the bathroom. Destroy bowl, if you will. Before I can flush the toilet, I'm like, oh my God. I had to barf. I turn around to barf. As I barf in the toilet, another little squirt came out of my butt. And I found out 2 things. I told you my wife was a nurse, but I found out that the tennis shoes my wife wears to work cost $150 a pair. And there's no such thing as a little poop on something. Yeah. And I actually hit 2 pairs of her shoes. One was a little less expensive. But
Does she not keep her shoes in the restroom anymore?
Well, I said, she comes home from work and she goes in her bathroom. She uses the bathroom in our master bedroom. It's her bathroom. I have one out in the hallway. Hers is the much nicer one.
That's what you get when you can have that health insurance. You get your own bathroom.
Yeah. So I go, well, why do you take off your shoes in the bathroom? And she goes, well, I was never expecting someone to shit on them. And I said, well, that's a good point. So, but I feel very lucky. The most pain it's amazing. It's 2026. They used robots to take out the tumor in my butt. They went through my stomach. They used robots. I had 5 little lines, my belly button, and then 2 on either side.
Is there a lot of pain in your belly button now after that?
There was pain in my stomach. Like, you're watching this. I don't have abs. I've never had abs. I've never had any stomach muscles. And, any surgery nowadays, they want you up walking around 2 hours later. So they're like, okay, you got to get up and walk around, kind of like to get, and I have a bag on my stomach because they have to let my butthole heal for
stomy.
for like 5 months. Yeah, stoma. And they tell you to, and when you sit up, when you're in bed and you try to sit up, well, you're using your abs, and that, my butt never hurt at all. My stomach for like, oh man, that first week, that was the worst.
Well,
pain.
they probably had to cut through the abdominal wall.
Yeah, but they use lasers, or they use robots. So it's just 5 little incisions. It's amazing what they're able to do. And I mean, not everybody does that. Some of them, I guess they go through the stomach, but they have to some guy showed me a picture. He had basically the same surgery I had, and he had a big Frankenstein scar.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I mean, MD Anderson using the latest. I had a Japanese surgeon, spent half his time in Japan, half his time in America. He had done like 10,000 of these surgeries, and yeah.
My last question, then I'll let you go.
Sure.
Do you think that comedy has to be about your life when you're writing? Does it have to be just about you, what you've done?
No, I think anything you write about yourself is original. No one can say you're copying them if you're telling something that is from your life that happened to you. Because if, there's no such thing as I don't think there's any such thing as a premise that you can't do. If somebody had a new and interesting take on airplane food or airplane jokes is a thing that people always bring up as like, oh, you can't do that. You can't talk. Well, you're not going to talk about airplane food because obviously, unless you're sitting in first class on an airplane, you're probably not getting any food. But if somebody has a new funny joke about something that happens on an airplane, of course, and obviously people talk about the same subjects. There's no, you can't say, oh, you can't do a joke about that because he did it. It's like, no, this is my take on that because that happened to me. There's other people that talk about having cancer. There's other people, I'm sure, that talk, I think the jokes that I do and the stories I tell about, I haven't seen anybody do them. If I saw a video of somebody telling the exact same story that I'm telling with the same punchline, I might contemplate, not telling that story or changing it up a little bit. But I haven't seen anybody. So, what was the actual question? Be person. It has to be person. No, it can be. I mean, anything you're saying is personal. Even if you're saying, "Oh, I saw this article. I saw this story on the internet." Well, it's something you saw, and then you're making a joke about it. So technically, you could say everything is personal. But if you mean like I said, anything that happens to you, you can talk about, and that's original because it happened to you. Yes, this has probably happened to somebody else.
But do you think that's the only way to write?
No, you're right. I mean, you get stimulus to write from everything. If I thought something funny here was happening, I'd write it down. Well, something funny. I mean, I hope I've been a little funny. But if I saw something, hey, he's got Jolly Ranchers. And if I thought something was funny about that, I might write it down and make a joke about it. I mean, you get stimulus by whatever you see, whatever you're a part of. And that's the comedian's job, is to take all that stuff and try to make it funny and be able to relay it to other people to where they actually, I guess the job is to relay that stuff to other people so they think it's funny. Whether I think something's funny is great, sure. But ideally, I want other people to think what I'm saying is funny. So whatever you see, whatever you hear, whatever you do, any of that can be part of your act.
If you were to give someone starting right now some advice, what would it be? And then tell us about your dates again, and then, yeah.
Just write down jokes, and perform them at an open mic. Most times you go to an open mic, you'll get like 3 to 5 minutes. And even if you just want to go and tell a couple jokes, you don't have to be up there for 5 minutes. But you're at home, you write down the jokes. Obviously you have to, pretend that you're on stage. You have to practice it at home. I mean, once you've done it a lot, you don't have to necessarily practice it at home, but you have to know what you're going to say. So practice at home a few times, and time yourself, tell these jokes. So that way, when you go to the open mic, you know exactly what you're going to say. Just have everything. First time you go to an open mic, have everything memorized, say what you want to say. And no matter what happens, if it's great and everybody loves you and says you're hilarious, if it's terrible, come back the next week, or find another open mic and do it again. And then after you've done like 20 of them, then ask somebody who you've seen there that is funny, hey, what do you think? But, the first few times I did great. I thought I did great. I did well the first time I ever went on stage. I had all my friends there. I actually have a videotape of the first time when I did that show at University of Houston. About 15 years after the fact, somebody found the videotape and gave it to me. And I watch it, and it's not the worst thing I've ever seen. I think I look better than a lot of open micers. But then, the next time I did a show, I had friends there. I did okay. And then the third time, my friends weren't there, and oddly enough, nobody laughed at what I was saying. So, I mean, it doesn't matter I could say the first 100 times you go on stage, it doesn't matter. But doing it the first time is the hardest part. And unless it is literally you get the worst feeling you've ever felt and thought it was the worst 5 minutes of your life, then do it again. You just gotta, doing it the first time is hard enough. And then no matter what happens, do it again. Whether it be the next week at the same place or the next night at another open mic. And do the same thing you just did. And then keep writing new jokes. And maybe you throw one in every once in a while and just go up as much as you can. Watch other people. There's never been more stand-up comedy available to watch, now than ever. Watch a comedian you like.
Who do you like besides for Dave?
Dave Attell, Jim Gaffigan. I like Mark Norman, Sam Morrell. Ron White's really funny. I like Shane Gillis. He's pretty funny. His TV show Tires is really good, but his stand-up's really good too. Older comics, Richard Pryor, George Carlin, this guy named Pablo Francisco. He used to come play the Improv all the time. He's really physical, very funny. I like Bert Kreischer. He's a buddy of mine. I mean, I know almost everybody because I've been around so long, and I met guys, when I was just a door guy at the club. That's how I met Dave. And we became friends, and he took me on the road, and I do shows with him whenever he comes to Houston. And if you're interested in starting stand-up comedy, if you can get a job at a comedy club, even if you don't need the money, you have a regular job, get a job as a door guy, because you can see all the, you can see the comedy. Nowadays, it was a big deal when I started because the internet wasn't the internet. Nowadays, you can just see, so you don't necessarily have to do that because you can just see, YouTube, see everything. There's not one comedian that you can't find on the internet.
That's very true. Yeah. All right. So give us your socials again, and then we'll sign off, man.
My social, Instagram and Twitter. Instagram is what I use the most. Those are at Bob_Biggerstaff. Facebook, just look up my name, Bob Biggerstaff. My website, comicbob.com. It'll be back up running hopefully this week. And never forget 9/11 and 9/12, September 11th and September 12th at the Pink Flamingo Comedy Club. Just Google, go on Instagram, Pink Flamingo. That's Pink Flamingo Comedy Club. That's where they do all their stuff. Promo code BOB, B-O-B. You can get buy one, get one tickets. Or if you're just one person, it'll give you half off. So that's what I got coming up. That's the main thing I wanted to promote.
Oh, that's awesome. And I'm Steven Rosenbaum. You can find me at owenstevensphotography.com if you're interested in wedding photography or video of me. You can spot me doing video of comics all through town and other things. And, of course, it's podcasts. That's the name of my new podcast. You can find me on YouTube. Please subscribe to the YouTube. Find me on social media at Rosenbaum Draws on Facebook and Instagram. TTNOMNP on TikTok as well. Rbomb on TikTok. All those places. I'm everywhere.
I'm on TikTok too.
Yeah. Tell us where you're at.
I think I'm Bob_Biggerstaff there too.
All right.
But again, really if you just search my name.
Yeah, really appreciate you coming out.
No problem.
Us a little bit about comedy, And I know you had kind of a deadline, so I'm going to let you get out of the studio. It's been a lot of fun, man.
All good. Thanks for having
Yeah,
me.
absolutely. Thanks, guys. Peace.